This is not the farm. Remember last week when I was working on the dryer and I said farmers have to work on their own stuff? Well, I wasn't kidding. Today's subject, oil change in the wife's car. Alright, oil changes are pretty simple. Now look, I had a great dad growing up that showed me how to do all kinds of stuff. But as I get older, I realize not everybody had that. So, maybe you've never been shown how to change oil. It's not that hard. But I'm under the wife's car. So, I'm going to show you everything I'm going to do under here, and then I'm going to do it, and we'll have a jump cut to the outside of the car. So first of all, you see that right there? Uh-oh, my arm's shaking. That ain't good, maybe. Oh, that's better. That's the drain plug. All we got to do is take that out, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, looking at the top of the bolt, and we drain all the oil out, and then we put that back in, and we snug it back up. Why, I'm still looking at the wrong spot. It's like it's my first day. Then you snug it back up. Don't forget to snug it back up. Then you got to come up here in this car. There's the oil filter. It's pretty easy to get to on this car. So, now, if I can reach that pause button right there, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to do those two things that I just said. Well, one of those things. Anyway, it'll all make sense. Keep watching. Alright, for this, you only got to have a few tools. You got to have a ratchet or a wrench. This one requires 17 millimeter. A 17 millimeter wrench would work. You have to have some sort of oil filter wrench. I use this one, I call it a spider. See how it expands to any kind of oil filter that you might need? And as you tighten it, it collapses and gets tighter. So, you got that. There's also a cup kind that looks like a giant socket, sits on the back, but you'd have to have one of those for everything. Every different kind of oil filter. You got to have a catch pan for your oil. Alright, now let's get some things done. Alright, so you get your oil filter. You just go to the parts store, tell them what kind of car you got. You need to know what kind of engine it's got in it, and they'll get you what you need. If not, they'll walk outside and they'll look at it for you, and then they'll get you what you need. And they'll get you the right kind of oil. Now look, this is important. You see this rubber ring right here? Sometimes this rubber ring will stay stuck to the car. You have to get that rubber ring off. Now, most of the time it comes off with the old filter, but not all the time. And if that rubber ring is stuck to the car where this mounts to it, and you put a second one on top of it, it leaks every time. And it doesn't just leak a little bit, it leaks a lot. So now, since this is a filter that goes on at about this angle, I can fill it almost all the way up with oil before I put it on there. Some of them go on like that. You can only put a little bit of oil in those, because if not, it's all going to run out and you're going to get it all over your hands. But anytime you got one that mounts mostly vertical, go ahead and fill it up with oil so the engine is not starved for oil when you crank it up. Fella holding that camera. Hey, look at that fella holding that camera. Hi, Mom. So, in review, there's our pan where we drained the oil. We just took the plug out, drained the oil. About 3 minutes later, put the plug right back in. We took the oil filter off with the oil filter wrench. We let that oil, a little bit comes out of the filter when you take it off. We let it drain into there. That's the old filter right there. I filled the new filter with oil. Put the new filter on. Make sure the rubber gasket at the top, you oil it or it will stick to the motor next time, and we went through all that already if it sticks. Alright, then you take your oil. See that 0W20? Most cars nowadays will say it on the cap. 0W20. So, you put the rest of the oil in there. Most engines on your Hondas, your Toyotas, your Chevrolets, all your cars are going to be about 5 quarts. Larger vehicles, the Tahoe over there holds 6 quarts. But anyway, the people at the auto parts store, they're happy to help you with stuff like that. That's their job, to sell you oil and to sell you the right amount. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I think Oh yeah, I use the store brand oil because, I mean, let's face it, it's only in there 3,000 miles. I've done it all my life. I've never had any vehicle problem related to oil. Alright, this is Chris from Keyfarm, and I'm out. A little snippet of video to end it. So anyway, after you get the right amount of oil in there, you check it right there. Every engine nowadays has got a dipstick. I have an engine on an old tractor that doesn't have a dipstick. I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, that's how you do it. When you're done, get underneath, make sure it's not leaking anything. And there's something else. Alright, I'll put it in a scroll at the end when I think of it. Alright, love God, love people. Bye. What it was. So, when you put the oil filter back on, if you got one of those cup style wrenches, you can put it on there and give it like a quarter turn. It doesn't have to be all that tight. If you don't have one of those, all you got to do is get you a big set of man hands like these. Like these right here. And you put that man hand on it and you turn it. And then you think about somebody that irritated you in the past week, and then you turn it a little more. And then that's tight enough. Yeah, love God, love people. I already said that. But those irritated people are the ones I'm having trouble with. Irritated, that's what I do to them. Irritating is what they are to me. Alright, I'm out.